Hello everyone, welcome back to Caitlin's Corner. Harry and I are thrilled to have you here for September's 2019 Plan With Me. I feel like between the bullet journal Plan With Me that was inspired by my pillows and the one last month that was inspired by my stationery, you guys know that I get inspired pretty much by just regular everyday items when it comes to figuring out new themes to create. And this is no different. This month, my spreads are inspired by my laptop. Yes, you heard that right. I am recreating a lot of the screens, apps, web pages that I interact with on a daily basis. Aside from the fact that I just thought this would end up being a cute looking thing in my journal, I also really like the fact that this theme is very doable for anyone. I mean, it is tedious, don't get me wrong. I feel like whenever my spreads are just a little bit beyond minimalist, I use the word tedious, but this one definitely is. But the actual things that you're doing, the shapes, are very basic. It's a lot of rectangles happening, so it's not something super like, oh, you need to be artistic to do this or it's not going to turn out. So that's a nice little plus. Obviously, as you can tell, I'm starting with the month at a glance. The calendar for September gets its own web page, and on the top left of that calendar is a loading screen that says September now loading. How cute is that? I can't emphasize enough how much of a genius I felt like when that came to mind. There's some folders because folders are on my desktop, and also a notification that honestly lives on my computer, which is the "your disk is almost full" notification. I've been telling myself for months I just need to dedicate a few hours one day to clearing out a ton of stuff from my laptop, but that day has yet to come, and instead I just end up deleting a small batch of things that lets me complete whatever tasks I'm about to do, and within a couple days or even a few hours I'm getting that notification again. So there's no logic to that system right now. I added some doodles of apps in my dashboard at the bottom. Not all of the ones that are there, but just a sample of them, and then went in with some pencil crayons to really bring everything to life. I wouldn't do again if I were to recreate this spread is go so dark with my pencil crayon at the top of the page as you're seeing me do now. It creates like a waxiness that is really hard to write on top of, which I did try to do with the black micron. It looked like it kind of worked here, but in the next spread I tried it again and it really dried out my black micron, and that made me very sad. So I didn't continue doing that afterwards. It would have been smarter just to go lighter with the pencil crayon or to use a marker instead, but I did really like how that spread turned out. Oh, how I adore this next spread. This is a recreation of the Finder tab, and this is the part of my laptop where all my documents and my downloads would be, so things are typically organized into folders, and I thought it'd be fun to act as if I am going through the Finder tab to open up a folder that includes a JPEG of this month's habit tracker. So even though I'm dedicating 2 pages to this habit tracker spread, the actual habit tracker portion of it, the JPEG, is not very large, but I feel like all of these details are necessary for this to actually look like what I'm trying to make it look like, which is I'm opening a JPEG file in my habit trackers folder. As you can tell, the commitment levels to this theme were extremely high. Tracker JPEG that you're seeing me put together, I just created 4 mini calendars for each of the habits that I will be tracking in January, which you will see, but will end up being hydration, yoga, reading, and gratitude. And after I do that habit for the day, I just fill in the box. Very, very simple. I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but if you're wondering, the pencil crayons that I'm using throughout this video are just the basic set from Crayola. I'll have a link to them and all of the products I used to create this month's spreads down in the description box below. This next spread may perhaps be my favorite one that I created this month. It's a tough call because a lot of them are adorable, but this one just really clicked. And what I am currently doing right now is recreating the photo app, which is my, aside from the editing app like the Final Cut Pro, it's like my most used application because I'm constantly taking photos for Instagram or for thumbnails, and I'm scrolling through them all the time. My life is photos and videos, so I'm here in this destination quite a bit. I thought this would be a really great opportunity to create a mini vision board in my journal for September, something that's like inspiring me for the fall. I went on Pinterest and collected some images that spoke to me, quotes, outfits, food, that sort of thing, and I glued them into my journal and it looks so freaking cute. I can't get enough of this. The only thing I would tweak if I did this again is I would make each photo a little bit smaller so that I could have fit 3 rows of photos, because then I think it would have really filled up the page nicely. But oh my goodness, like how can you not think this is just a fun time? I have to remind myself next time I'm at Staples or Michael's to buy a set of those adhesive squares. They're like double-sided stickers that allow you to paste things into your journal or a scrapbook or whatever it is without, you know, having to use glue, which can get a little messy, not gonna lie. I've used them before and I really like them. I just don't understand why I haven't added that to my current collection of bullet journaling tools. It's on the list. Up next is the meal planner spread, and this is always a highly requested spread, but it was definitely the most popular request when I asked on Instagram stories what you guys wanted to see in this month's Plan With Me, which, as always, if you are not already following me on Instagram, what are you doing? You can go follow me at Caitlin Marie De Silva for lots of pretty photos of planners and mugs and, you know, other lifey things. You know, really, what more do you need than planners and mugs? I felt like the Notes app was the most appropriate place to put a meal planner spread. If I'm being honest, though, I was not happy with the end result of this. I feel like it was a little too minimalistic for this type of spread. I just opted for bulleted lists for you to put breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, and dessert ideas. So it's still functional, but I may have to add some doodles or something later on to spice it up a bit. For this month's weekly spread, I decided to recreate the weekly view of my Google Calendar. I personally do use a digital calendar in addition to my bullet journal because oftentimes with YouTube, I am scheduling out campaigns or appointments, meetings months ahead of time. And obviously my bullet journal is not a tool that has all my planner spreads done for the full year. I make the spreads as I go. So a digital calendar helps me keep track of everything that's a little bit too far in the future to go into my bullet journal at this time. Again, I ended up using a lot of space to add details to really drive home the fact that I'm recreating a web page, but what was great is the Google view of the calendar for the week is naturally vertical, so I ended up with a vertical spread, which is my week at a glance format of choice. The little calendar on the left is also really convenient, and there was some space at the bottom left margin of the page where I decided to add like a little key for my week at a glance, but you could also add a mini habit tracker or a section to write down things that are coming up for the next week, so you kind of have a little bit of a heads up about what's coming down the pipeline. And that wraps up this month's Plan With Me. These spreads ended up being a lot of fun to put together. I was really stumped at the beginning of this Plan With Me journey for September because I didn't want to do student spreads because I know not all of you are students. I'm no longer a student either, so I wanted them to be usable for me. But I also didn't want to go too much in the direction of creating spreads for fall because I feel like October and November is when I'm going to want to use a lot of oranges and yellows and insert doodles of leaves and all that fun fall goodness. So this was a good one. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below which spread was your favorite and what is your most used laptop app? I'm curious. I will see you all very soon with a new video, and until then, bye guys.